Part 1. The Battle. No one expected. The crystal walls of the Valorian throne world shone under three suns. Light bent in strange ways, reflecting patterns that only the highest nobles could understand. Prince Kalor, the oldest of three brothers, stood on the high balcony overlooking the capital city. He was proud, tall, and stern. Behind him were his brothers Lyran and Maros, younger but confident in their own ways. Together they watched a series of holographic maps showing the borders of their empire. On the holograms, small red dots marked the presence of human ships. The Valorian scientists called them explorers. To the princes, they were insignificant, weak, and naive. Yet these small ships had entered Valorian space without fear, and that annoyed the nobles. "They think they can come here without permission," Kalor said. His voice was calm but filled with quiet anger. "Do they not know the might of the Valorian Empire?" Lyran smiled. "They are only scouts. Nothing more. They will be gone soon. A few hours in battle, and they will remember why our empire is feared." Maros, the youngest, looked at the hologram and frowned. He had a feeling something was wrong, but he could not name it yet. "Perhaps we should contact them first, check their intentions," he suggested. Kalor turned sharply. "Contact? Why waste time? These creatures are weak. Strike now and show them our power. It will teach them respect." The brothers moved to the war room where advisors and generals waited. Holograms displayed the human fleet. Small, simple ships with thin metal hulls and minimal weapons. The Valorian commanders laughed. They compared the humans to tiny insects scuttling into a lion's den. Then the hologram flickered, and a human figure appeared. Captain Lucas Hill, the leader of the scout fleet, stood tall and calm. His uniform was simple, with a blue stripe across the chest. His face was young, but his eyes were serious. "I am Captain Lucas Hill of the United Earth Federation," he said in clear Valorian. "We are exploring trade routes in this sector. We wish no conflict. We will leave your space if requested." The room fell silent. The princes looked at each other and then laughed. Lyran mocked the human. "Look at his small ship and tiny crew. Does he expect us to fear him?" Kalor waved a hand. "Enough talk. We will teach them a lesson. Prepare the strike squadron. Maros, you will lead it. Show the humans the strength of Valoria." Maros felt a chill. He nodded but felt uncertain. Still, he obeyed. Pride and family duty left no room for refusal. Hours later, Maros's strike squadron left the throne world in sleek, silver ships. They moved fast, weapons ready, engines glowing. The human scouts appeared on sensors, just 5 ships, each small and unarmed compared to the Valorian fleet. The humans did not run. They moved steadily, their course clear, their intentions obvious. "They have courage. I will give them that," Maros muttered. But his voice was low, almost lost in the hum of his fleet. The first shots were fired by Valorian ships. Energy beams tore through space, cutting arcs toward the human scouts. The Valorians expected quick destruction, yet the humans did not panic. They twisted and spun in ways the Valorians could not predict. Their small ships slipped between beams, disappeared behind asteroids, then returned with precise strikes. Maros watched, stunned. Each of his ships that he expected to be safe was damaged or disabled. One of the human ships suddenly appeared behind a Valorian cruiser, firing a short pulse that disabled its engines. Another created a small shield bubble, deflecting a heavy energy shot. The tactics were strange, new, and effective. Captain Lucas Hill's voice came over the comm. "We do not wish to destroy you. We are only defending ourselves. We will help any crew in need." Maros felt something he had never felt in battle: fear. The humans were weak, yet they had an intelligence and calmness that no Valorian had expected. The fleet tried to adjust, but every move they made was anticipated. Maros signaled to retreat, but his flagship had already been hit. He barely escaped in an emergency pod, watching his prized ship explode behind him. Back on the throne world, Kalor and Lyran watched the battle through live feeds. The court was silent. Shock replaced laughter. The Valorian warriors had always been unbeatable. Now these humans had destroyed their pride in minutes. The court advisors argued, shouted, and blamed each other. The emperor listened quietly. He had fought many wars, but he had never seen anything like this. His grand empire, the pride of centuries, could be challenged by humans. The thought made him uneasy. Lucas Hill contacted the throne world again. His voice was calm, even kind. "We will return the injured and prisoners. We seek no more conflict, only understanding." Kalor turned away from the holo display. Pride and shame warred in him. He had ordered the attack, yet the humans had won. Lyran shouted for revenge, but Kalor only felt a deep, hollow silence. Maros returned to the throne world in a transport pod, injured and shaken. He remembered Lucas's voice offering help, and it confused him. The humans had defeated them, but they showed mercy. He wondered how a species so weak could also be so strong. The first battle was over. The humans had survived. The Valorians had lost not only ships but their certainty of victory. In the shadows of the palace, the princes realized that their empire was no longer untouchable. And somewhere deep inside, Maros began to question the very pride that had sent him into space. The stars beyond the throne world were quiet now, but they held secrets, and the humans, small and underestimated, were only beginning their story. Maros knew one thing for certain: this defeat would change everything. Part 2. Princes of Ruin. After the disastrous battle, the Valorian throne world was filled with tension. The court, normally full of laughter and pride, now held whispers and anger. Advisors rushed to the grand hall, trying to explain what had happened. None of them could make sense of it. A few suggested that humans had tricks or luck, but no one dared admit that they had simply underestimated them. Prince Kalor sat stiffly on his chair, staring at the floor. He refused to speak. Lyran paced angrily, fists clenched, shouting at anyone who tried to reason. Maros, still recovering from injuries, quietly observed the court. He felt guilty, scared, and strangely curious about the humans. A tactical analyst stepped forward and displayed new holograms. They showed how the human scouts had moved, dodged attacks, and disabled the Valorian ships. "This is no fluke," the analyst said. "They fought with discipline and clever strategies. This was not luck." The court fell silent. Nobles murmured. Some could not believe it. Humans, weak and primitive, had outsmarted the proud Valorian fleet. Kalor's pride burned. He could not admit defeat. "This is impossible," he shouted. "We are Valorians. Our strength is unmatched." Lyran leaned close. "We cannot wait. If they spread, they will challenge every border. We must destroy them before they grow stronger." Kalor's eyes narrowed. "We need to show them no mercy. Prepare the next fleet. Bigger, stronger, faster." Meanwhile, Maros lay in a private med chamber. He remembered Captain Lucas Hill's voice offering help to his wounded crew. Humans had mercy, even when they could have destroyed them completely. Maros could not understand it. He knew his own empire would have crushed them without hesitation. The thought troubled him deeply. Days passed. Valorian shipyards worked tirelessly, assembling new fleets. Scientists studied the human tactics, but they focused only on technical fixes, not on understanding the human mind. They built bigger weapons, faster engines, stronger shields. They believed more power alone would win. Maros secretly requested books, records, and data about human culture, history, and strategy. He wanted to understand the strange species that had defeated them. He learned about humanity's past wars, near destruction, and how humans adapted and grew stronger each time. He felt uneasy. These were not weak beings. They had resilience. On the human side, Captain Lucas Hill reported the encounter to the United Earth Federation. Some leaders suggested avoiding further contact with the Valorians. They did not want war. Others argued that a powerful, arrogant empire could threaten humans if left unchecked. The council decided to prepare cautiously. Lucas focused on training his crew. He emphasized flexibility, creativity, and independent thinking. Amy Clark, a brilliant young strategist, studied enemy behavior patterns. Tyler Grant, a calm engineer, worked on improving ship systems for adaptability in battle. Every human officer learned that rigid rules could be deadly. Victory required thought and imagination. Finally, the Valorian fleets were ready. Kaelor divided the commanders. He took the central defense line, Lyran led the aggressive attack fleet, and Maros commanded the reserve ships. Pride and arrogance were everywhere, but Maros quietly observed and learned. The first strike was planned for the outer border systems. Lyran led the fleet confidently. Humans seemed scattered, their stations small and unprotected. Valorians laughed, certain of easy victory. As Lyran's fleet advanced, the humans began their counterattack. Small groups of ships harassed flanks, then disappeared into asteroid fields. Mines and decoys slowed the Valorian advance. Communications were hacked, sending false orders to confused captains. Valorian ships, built for formal battles, could not adapt quickly. Maros, observing from reserve, realized humans used strategy and adaptability, not strength alone. He warned Lyran to reconsider, but Lyran ignored him. He ordered a direct assault on a seemingly weak human station. Hidden drones and traps surrounded the station. The Valorian fleet advanced into a deadly net. Ships were disabled, some destroyed. The humans struck with precise timing, not reckless attacks. Even small maneuvers caused enormous damage. Lyran's flagship was nearly destroyed, and he was forced to retreat with heavy losses. Back at the throne world, news of the defeat reached the Emperor. He grew weak and worried. Nobles whispered about the prince's failures. Border governors questioned the empire's strength. Minor rebellions began, taking advantage of chaos. Maros watched all this and felt a strange mix of fear and understanding. The war against humans had revealed weaknesses that existed long before the humans appeared. On the human side, Lucas and his team analyzed the battle. Casualties were heavy, but the results were clear. Humans had survived against a vastly superior force. Morale was high, and lessons were learned. Amy Clark emphasized teaching young officers how to think creatively in battle. Tyler Grant developed new modular systems to adapt ships quickly. Humans did not seek glory. They sought survival, understanding, and protection. Meanwhile, Maros struggled with his feelings. The Valorian Empire was proud, rigid, and cruel in many ways. The humans, though weaker, showed intelligence, mercy, and adaptability. He wondered if the Empire could learn from them. If it could not, Maros feared more disasters were coming. The Valorian court continued to demand revenge. Kaelor and Lyran wanted to crush humanity at once. Maros quietly studied human methods, reading, learning, and understanding the enemy. He knew the next battle would be even worse if Valorians continued with pride alone. And deep inside, he began to hope that a new way of thinking might save them all. The first major clash was only the beginning. Humans had survived and grown stronger in a few hours of combat. The Valorian Empire had lost more than ships. They had lost certainty, confidence, and control. The princes faced a new reality. Humans were not weak. They were dangerous, intelligent, and merciful. And if Valoria did not change, they could lose everything. Part 3. When Empires Break. The outer systems had become the stage for a battle no one could predict. Prince Lyran led the Valorian spearhead fleet, confident that humanity's scattered defenses could not stop him. His ships glimmered in the sunlight of a distant star, long silver hulls and powerful engines ready for glory. He looked at the human stations ahead and laughed. They seemed unprepared, tiny and fragile compared to his massive fleet. But as they approached, strange things began to happen. Sensors showed ships where there were none. Signals twisted and disappeared. Mines appeared in empty space, then vanished before anyone could touch them. The human fleet moved unpredictably. Small groups of ships attacked, then vanished into asteroid fields. The Valorian fleet grew confused and angry. They had never faced such tactics. Captain Lucas Hill watched calmly. "Do not panic," he said to his crews. "We will use their arrogance against them. Keep moving, keep thinking, keep safe." Amy Clark and Tyler Grant worked quickly. Amy plotted flanking moves, creating the illusion of weakness to lure the Valorians into traps. Tyler used his engineering skills to make quick modifications to shields and weapons, allowing ships to adapt to each new attack. The humans were small, but every decision was precise. Every action counted. Lyran's pride made him reckless. He ignored the warnings from Maros, who had joined the reserve fleet to observe. "They are intelligent," Maros said. "They adapt faster than you can predict. Be careful." Lyran only laughed. "Careful is for the weak. We will crush them." As the Valorian fleet advanced on a seemingly weak station, hidden drones and traps emerged from every angle. Ships were hit in ways that shocked even experienced commanders. Engines failed, weapons were disrupted, and communications broke down. The human forces had planned every detail. They did not rely on luck. They relied on adaptability and intelligence. The battle was brutal. The Valorian ships were larger, more powerful, and better armored, but their rigidity and pride made them easy targets. Human ships were smaller, more fragile, but they could think and change faster. They used every asteroid, every debris field, every weak point in the enemy formation. The Valorian fleet was pushed to the edge of collapse. Maros watched the destruction. He felt fear and awe at the same time. The humans were weak, yet they had defeated one of the most powerful fleets in Valorian history. He realized that his empire could not continue this war as it had before. Pride alone would no longer win battles. Lucas Hill made a bold move. He led a small group of ships to intercept Lyran's flagship, cutting off escape routes. Lyran's anger became desperation. His attacks grew wild, uncontrolled. The humans, calm and precise, disabled his ship's engines and shields. Finally, Lyran was forced to retreat, leaving behind a fleet crippled and defeated. News of the defeat reached the Valorian throne world. The emperor's face turned pale. Nobles whispered, blaming each other. Some suggested replacing the princes. Border governors questioned the empire's strength. Minor uprisings began in outer systems, taking advantage of the chaos. Maros observed quietly, realizing that the war against humanity had exposed weaknesses in the empire that had existed long before humans arrived. On Earth, Lucas reported the results of the battle. Human losses were high, but the outcome was clear. They had survived against overwhelming odds and learned valuable lessons. Amy Clark emphasized teaching young officers to think creatively. Tyler Grant worked on systems that allowed ships to change their functions quickly. Humans did not seek glory. They sought survival, learning, and protection. Meanwhile, Maros studied everything he could about humans. He learned about their history, resilience, and ability to adapt. The Valorian Empire was proud and rigid, while humans were flexible and merciful. Maros wondered if Valoria could change before it was too late. He began to hope that a new way of thinking might save them all. The first major battle had ended, but it was clear that it would not be the last. Humans had survived and grown stronger. The Valorian Empire had lost more than ships. It had lost certainty, confidence, and control. The princes faced a new reality. Humans were not weak. They were intelligent, adaptable, and merciful. If Valoria did not change, the next battles could destroy everything they had built. Maros returned to the reserve fleet, quietly sharing his observations with select officers. He emphasized the importance of flexibility and learning from the humans. Few listened, but those who did began to see the value in adapting to the unexpected. The war against humanity had revealed not only the strengths of their enemy, but also the deep flaws in the Valorian Empire itself. The stars beyond the throne world were no longer just territory. They were lessons, challenges, and opportunities. Humanity had shown that even small, underestimated forces could change the course of history. And Valoria, proud and ancient, would need to decide whether it would learn or fall. Maros knew the answer was not simple, but he also knew that the future depended on the choices made now. The Empire had been shaken, and the human scouts were only the beginning of a new reality that would test Valoria like never before.